Welcome to Insider's English, creating and using preposition pages. In this video, I will explain how to use the preposition pages that we looked at in the post Prepositions, 4 categories. If you have not yet read the post, you can find a link to it in the description below this video. In this video, you can work with me. So, if you have not designed your pages, I suggest you pause this video and do that now. Make 6 pages like the image on the right. Each page should have one of the following prepositions as a title. I have given you a list of prepositions. These are the most commonly used prepositions in English. The ones we're going to use today are highlighted in bold: of, in, to, from, and for today we're also going to look at across and into. First, we can look at a text about a country from Wikipedia. I've chosen my country, Canada. We need to highlight all the prepositions. I have marked them in the text on the right in bold. Notice that we now have our 6 prepositions all highlighted, ready to be used. Take your preposition pages and put the title of the preposition at the very top of each of your 6 pages. Next, we need to re-examine our text. We're going to mark all the items immediately before and immediately after the prepositions. This will help us to determine if there is a possible phrase or not. I've marked all the possible phrase items in blue. Now, I have collected my possible phrases and put them onto a separate piece of paper to see which of the 4 categories each possible phrase should go into. If you remember from the post, our 4 categories are literal preposition, which will tell us about place, time, and manner, collocations, phrasal verbs, and expressions. Notice that some of the items are noted twice. For example, North America, North America, Atlantic Ocean, Atlantic Ocean. This is because at this point in our exercise, we're not sure if it's the end of one phrase or the beginning of the next one. Let's look at our first phrase, country in the northern part. So for this phrase, country in the northern part, we need our preposition page with the title in. Now, let's look at the complete sentence. Canada is a country in the northern part of North America. Well, it seems to me that country is really not part of the phrase. It doesn't seem necessary. It appears to only be needed to note the position of the country, Canada. I think for this preposition, we can easily determine that it is being used literally, and it's also describing a place. So this is where we will note it. We'll put our phrase down here, and we're going to remove the word country because it's not necessary. And I suggest you put the complete sentence where you found your preposition in the box beside it. Notice that we also can make some places where we put our notes. I have a little note here because I've noticed that North America is a continent. So it looks to me that in can be used to describe a place in a continent. Let's look at number 2. We have to change our preposition page now. We're going to look at of. So you take your sheet with the title of. We have our second phrase, northern part of North America. And you can write the complete sentence in the part of your preposition page over here. Now, I have written that this is a collocation. This is my idea. For your preposition pages, you can decide on your own category. Perhaps you think that it is a literal preposition of manner. This is perfectly fine. As long as you don't make an illogical choice, such as of being a literal preposition of time, then you're perfectly all right. You only want to tell your brain that you are categorizing the preposition. Now, why have I decided that it's a collocation? If we look at this phrase more carefully, part of something, for those of you who don't know, STH is shorthand for something. I can think of many times when I use part followed by of. I'm going to eat part of an apple. I'm going to be part of a music group. It seems to me that of follows part very frequently. Our next phrase, number 3, spans across North America. That means we need to change our preposition page, find the one you have made for across, and we'll make the notes on that page. Now, spans across. What could this possibly be? Literal, collocation, phrasal verb? Well, I'll tell you how I have deduced that across is being used as a collocation. We know that spans is a verb because of its place in the sentence. Now we have 2 choices for across. It's either part of a collocation or perhaps it's a phrasal verb. If you remember from the post, we saw that collocations are generally not Anglo-Saxon words. So we can quickly check in a dictionary and find that spans, oh, it is an Old English word. But problematically, it's also a French word. That means we have to check our second criterion, which is that a phrasal verb can be followed by many different prepositions. Here we have spans across. Let's try it with another one and see what it sounds like. Spans on. I don't think so. Spans in. Doesn't sound good. Spans at. No. I think that we can safely say spans across, across being the only preposition that would follow span. Also, I made a note because I found when I looked in the dictionary that spans across is used for very large areas. Let's continue to our 4th and 5th possible phrases. We're going to look at these ones together, and you will see why in a moment. Now we have North America from the Atlantic to the Pacific. This seems like both prepositions are necessary for the meaning of this phrase. It's also quite obvious that we're talking about a place. This means that our preposition category for from in this instance is literal. If I do a quick check in the dictionary, I can see that from is very frequently followed by to, from X to Y. Then, as we have done in the past, I put my complete sentence in the box for future reference. Something for you to be aware of is that you will find many pairs of prepositions like this. Most of the time, the pairs are usually opposites, just like from and to. You will also find in and out, etc. Notice in my notes that I have written C2 because I think it's a good idea to make a duplicate of this certain preposition page for our preposition to. And you can write the exact same information. The only thing is, in your note, you will cross-reference and say see from. Now we can look at our last two possible phrases, number 6 and 7. Extends from the U.S. border into the Arctic Ocean. We're still on our preposition page from. We know we're talking about a place again, so it's quite obvious that this is a literal category. We have extends from X into Y. Now, does this always happen? No. A quick check in the dictionary tells us that extends can be followed by many different prepositions and, in fact, many different adverbs. We have extends over, extends for miles, extends beyond, etc. We can also see that it's not a phrasal verb because the meaning is clear. It's very obvious. Phrasal verbs are almost always obscure and idiomatic. So you can collect all your information, put your example sentence in this box, and you can also make a small note here because we've noticed twice now that from seems to need another preposition. We don't know if this is true, but that's why we have the word seems. When your pages become more full, you will be able to verify whether this is in fact true. But for now, we'll leave it as a note. Finally, we're going to look at number 7, the preposition into. We can separate this from and look at it just on its own. The U.S. border into the Arctic Ocean. We know that it is a place and therefore a literal category. So we write down our phrase here, into the Arctic Ocean. We know we don't need all of this information. This is the only part that's necessary. And again, we have our complete example sentence. Now, there's something interesting about the preposition into. It looks like two different prepositions put together. We can have a quick check in the dictionary and look at into. Notice that the definition number 1 and number 2 Both tell us that it expresses movement or action. Then, if we continue down, we can find a definition that is close to what we have. Ours says that Canada's border extends into the Arctic Ocean. Here we have a road which led into the village. And to double check, we can look at some more example sentences, and they all seem to follow the same pattern. Into the town, into the city. So we've now got a little bit more information about into, and we have noted in the dictionary that there's a lot of movement, and we're going to call this a dynamic preposition. Today we have mainly looked at the literal uses of prepositions and one example of a collocation. This should get you started on your preposition pages and get you thinking about those categories. In our next video, we'll be focusing on phrasal verbs and expressions. You can find a lot of useful information on our website, www.insidersenglish.com. Visit often, as we're always adding new posts and pages. You can also find us in Facebook. We have a group called, funnily enough, Insiders English. You could join today and read many different posts. We would like to see you join a group discussion. And now we will close, and I hope you get your preposition pages started and well on their way, because next week, as I said, we'll be looking at phrasal verbs and expressions. See you next time.